Racism in Django Unchained and The Help by Cooper Jansen.
Racism is discrimination against someone of a different race. Two films that show racism are The Help and Django Unchained. The Help is directed by Tate Taylor and is about African-American housemaids in early 1960s Mississippi. Django Unchained is directed by Quentin Tarantino and is a revenge tale told through the eyes of a freed slave in 1858 Southern America. A comparison of these films show that although they are set in time periods 100 years apart, the acts of racism are extremely similar and that time itself does not solve racism.
A similarity between movies is how the black main character is treated less than human. In The Help, Aibileen is denied a basic human right of using the toilet. A close-up is used when Aibileen is eavesdropping on Hilly, explaining this to her friends. This is used to show the psychological impact this behaviour had on African Americans.
In Django Unchained, an extreme but still similar attitude is shown towards the character of Django when he is freed and rides a horse into town for the first time. Close-ups of white townspeople show the shock and hatred of a black man being anything but a slave. There is also symbolism, with Django's head seen through a noose representing lynching of African Americans. Another aspect of racism shown in both movies is the lack of empathy from the villainous characters due to race. In the scene where Hilly is talking about her idea of an outside toilet for Aibileen, there is high-key lighting which shows the contrast between the evil racist things she is saying and the jolly attitude she has when saying it, resulting in a character that the audience truly despises. In Django Unchained, the same idea is shown when a racist slave owner, Calvin Candy, lets a slave who tried to escape get eaten by dogs in front of Django. His face, which appears in a close-up, is unflinching as he stares down Django. The fact that he killed a man for a mind game shows the lack of empathy society had for African-American slaves, as they saw them as nothing more than objects. Another technique filmmakers use is the costume choice. In The Help, all the black maids have the same grey costume, whereas the white people have flamboyant, colourful get-ups. This is an example of symbolism, showing how society was back then, seen through white society's eyes. All the black people were the same, as seen with their bland costumes.
In Django Unchained, all the white people wear shades of brown, grey, and black. Django is one of the only characters with a colourful costume, which is a bright blue with white frills. The colours blue and white signify innocence and also shows how out of place a black man looked at the time when not a slave.
In The Help, the audience is brought into the story by sympathy for the main character, as well as a character that contrasts the racism and is the character for the audience to agree with. This character is Skeeter, as she is constantly disagreeing with Hilly and empathizing with Aibileen and Minnie, which leads the story into her writing the book. This character is the antithesis of Hilly and is her foil. In Django Unchained is shown in The Dentist Bounty Hunter,
Dr. King Schultz.
This character makes Django a free man and gives him rights of a white man. The villain's last name, Candy, is juxtaposed to
Dr. King Schultz's
profession, which is a dentist, symbolizing their opposing views and morals. So,
Schultz
is a bounty hunter who kills people. He is still the most sympathetic character through multiple close-ups.
Both films show slavery and hate in their respective ways, but where The Help shows slavery in the more subtle way of housemaids being mistreated and treated less than whites, Django shows it in a violent, raw way that shows slaves being whipped and beaten for the pleasure of white society. Both films show a haunting side of society that has never been completely solved.
A comparison of these two films show that, over the years, racism may not have been completely ceased, but it has merely transitioned into a less external and less raw version that is seen in these films. Racism is timeless and will always be an underlying factor in today and future societies.